All right, welcome everybody to today's master training. My name is Jeremy Jenkins, and it is a pleasure as always to be able to share with you some tidbits of wisdom and motivation and understanding to help us take our businesses to the next level, to become leaders, to motivate, and to create that duplication that will create success for everybody. So today I am excited to share with you this topic. It's called Prime the Pump. And this comes from the book, See You at the Top by the famous Ziglar. Zig, he's was an amazing individual, master trainer, right? He has helped millions of people be successful in their businesses, in their lives. And this example of priming the pump just really resonated with me when I first heard about it. So I want to share that with you today and hope that it will do the same for you as it did for me. So the pioneers, right? We all heard the stories of pioneers and individuals who, here in the United States, they came and they were able to expand westward, and they were the first ones, right? They were the individuals that came and paved the path. They were the ones that made the opportunity happen because they were adventurous, right? They had that adventurous spirit. They wanted to go find something new and better for themselves. And so Ziglar shares this. He said, one of the props that I use in my conversations around the country is an old-fashioned chrome water pump, right? Personally, I love the history of the pump because to me, it represents the history of the pioneers, the history of the free enterprise system, and the history of life. To your benefit, I hope that you have an opportunity at least once in your life to use one of these outdated water pumps just to see how they work, right? That experience will help you appreciate the importance of this series of thoughts, okay? So here's what happens. With these pumps, you have to prime them first. Now, what does that mean? Well, several years ago, two of my friends, Bernard Haygood and Jimmy Glenn, drove into the foothills of southern Alabama on a hot August day. They were thirsty. So Bernard noticed behind an old abandoned farm, there was a water pump in the yard. He jumped out of the car, ran for the pump, grabbed the handle, and started pumping. But after a moment or two of pumping, Bernard pointed out to an old bucket and suggested that Jimmy should get that bucket and get some water from the nearby stream in order to prime the pump. So as everyone knows, or should know, right? You should put some water on top of the pump to prime the pump and get the water to start flowing. That's how it works. If you don't have water, if you don't put a little bit of water in there in the first place, it won't work. The pump action doesn't happen, okay? So that's a key thing. So you got to go get some water out of the stream and pour it on top. All right. So in the game of life, before you can get something going, right, you have to put in something. Okay, before you get something, you have to put in something. Unfortunately, there are many people who are in front of the stove of life and say, hey, stove, give me a little heat, and then I'll put some wood in you, right? Many times, the secretary comes to the boss and says, hey, give me a raise, and then I'll start doing a better job and be more aware. Or the salesperson goes to the boss and says, make me the sales manager, and then I'll really show you what I can do. It's true that I haven't done much up till now, right? But I have to be in charge in order to do my best work. So you just make me the boss, and then watch me go. Many times the student will go to the teacher and say, if I take home bad grades for this semester, my parents are really going to scold me. So teacher, if I get a good grade this quarter, I promise I will study very hard next quarter. My experience has been that it does not work this way. If it did, I could easily imagine a farmer praying, right? Lord, if you will just give me one crop this year, I promise to plant seeds and work hard next year. But what you're really saying is, reward me first, right? And then I will produce. But life does not work that way. You must first put something in life before you can expect to get something from it. Now, if you can apply this knowledge for the rest of your life, you can solve many of your problems, right? Okay, So there's this law of compensation that we are dealing with, right? The farmer must sow his seeds in the spring or summer before harvesting in the fall. He also puts in a lot of work before he reaches the harvest stage. The student puts out hundreds of hours of work before they acquire the knowledge and graduate. Today's secretary, who will be the office manager tomorrow, puts a considerable amount of extra effort into her work. The athlete of today who becomes a champion tomorrow puts in a lot of himself in the form of sweat and effort before he collects the reward of being champion. The young executive of today who becomes the president of tomorrow's company is the individual who worked for it. Today's marketer who becomes the sales manager tomorrow is the person who understands the principle of pump priming. When you put something in, the law of compensation says you will get something out. All right. And then it also makes us appreciate it, right? So let's go back to the friends in South Alabama. So Southern Alabama is hot in August, and after a few pumping minutes, Bernard began to sweat considerably. At that moment, he began to wonder how much work he was willing to do to receive the water. He was worried about the amount of reward he would receive for the amount of effort he was making. After a while, he said, "Jimmy, I don't think there's any water in this well." And Jimmy replied, "Yes, there is, Bernard. In South Alabama, the wells are deep, and that's good because the deep well produces cleaner, sweeter, better tasting water than any other." Jimmy is also talking about life, is he not? The things we have to work on are the things we most appreciate. So it's true satisfaction, right? What you can get easily is usually not worth much. If you could become a doctor in a 6-week summer course, how much would that be worth? If you could be a super seller by listening to a 4-hour sales conference, the competition would be so intense that your commissions would be considerably small. Go down the list and you will discover that those skills and goals that require blood, sweat, and tears are what bring true satisfaction and rewards. So let's go back to the pump. Now, Bernard was hot and he's tired. So he raised his hands and said, "Jimmy, there's just not any water in this well." Jimmy quickly grabbed the pump handle and kept pumping when he said, "Don't make it stop. Do not make it stop now, because if you do, the water will go all the way back down and then you'll have to start all over again." That too is the story of life. There is no human being in existence, regardless of age, sex, or occupation, who does not occasionally feel that it may be that the pump is broken because there is no water down there. So if from time to time you feel that way, it should be comforting to know that there are a lot of people just like you. So just keep pumping, right? Now let's take a look at something interesting and obvious. There is no way you can look on the outside of the pump and determine whether it will take 2 more strokes or 200 more to bring in the water. There's often no way you can look at the game of life and determine whether or not you will get the big opportunity tomorrow, or if it will take another week, months, or years, or even more. This I do know beyond any reasonable doubt. Regardless of what you are doing, if you are willing to pump for long enough, hard enough, and with enough enthusiasm, sooner or later, the effort will yield the reward. I also know that just as you add nothing to the score if you stop at third base, you cannot quench your thirst with the water that almost comes out of the pump. Fortunately, once the water starts to flow, all you have to do is maintain a constant pressure in the pump and you will get more water than you can use. This is the story of success and happiness in life. Persistence, right? The message is clear. Whatever you're doing, work on it with the right attitude and the right habits. But above all, stick to it with tenacity and persistence. Just as the flow of water is often a breath away, the sweet taste of success and victory is often a little further up the hill or around the corner. Whether you are a doctor, a lawyer, a student, a homemaker, a pawn, or a salesman, once the water flows, it is easy to keep it flowing with a little constant effort. We will never know how many young people lost a college scholarship because they did not study 10 more minutes each day, or how many employees missed out on a promotion because they did not stay on task just a few more minutes each day for a few more weeks, or how many sales were lost because the prospect was not given one more reason to make the decision today. So, you want to get what you want? Here's what you do. I think the story of the pump is the story of life and the system of free enterprise. I say this because it has nothing to do with age or education, whether you're white or black or male or female, overweight or underweight, extroverted or introverted, or if you're Catholic, Jewish, or Protestant. It has everything to do with your God-given rights as a free person to work as long as you want, as hard as you want, and with as much enthusiasm as you want to get everything in life that you really want. As you progress to the top, you must remember the history of the pump. Even if you start pumping casually or with little enthusiasm, you always have to pump before anything happens. Pump hard to start and continue like this until the water flows. Then a great thing is going to happen. Once the water flow starts, you only have to keep the pressure constant, and the time will come when the reward will be so huge that you will get what you want instead of having to want what you get. So my friends, that is the answer. Let's put something in to get something out. Let's live the law of the harvest. Let's remember to plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. Let's remember to keep going, be consistent, never stop pumping, and eventually we will get everything we dreamed of. So that's the message for today. Hope that was helpful and motivating. Appreciate your time, and we will see you next Saturday. Same time, same channel. All right, take care, everybody. I'll see you later.